I was conducting my own informal survey with our investors, and I think overwhelming response was you appreciated that we gave you a lot more granularity, at least on the US business. So that was really good. So check, that was one of our goals. And I think you also got a chance to meet with the management team who run our businesses and are delivering on our plans. So that was really good. And clearly, you walk away with a lot of things are going really well in terms of our US businesses. And sure, do we have opportunities that we need to fix? And hopefully you also got a sense of how we're thinking about it, what are our plans going forward in our efforts to fix those problem areas. So and some of the common threads of the day you would have heard very consistently across all business presentations. The execution of the Nestlé roadmap that Paul Bulke has shared on many occasions. And so portfolio management, which is making choices. And a lot of times when people talk about portfolio management, the thing that comes to mind right away is, ooh, they're going to divest. What are you going to divest? And when is it going to be? But the important thing to remember always is when we talk about portfolio management, when we talk about making choices, it's just as important in terms of where we think we need to accelerate. And so accelerating, fixing, divesting would be the three things that we grapple with as we look at the cells in our businesses. And the second thing when it comes to making choices, it's also a mindset shift. I think from the presentations yesterday, I hope that you would have gotten away that it's not just a tool. It's not just something that we talk about, but it's really a mindset shift about about wanting to get the most return from the resources that we have. Another common thread that you would have gotten would be grasping opportunities, and that would be innovation. You heard about NHW, which is Nutrition, Health, and Wellness. So that's clearly continues to be a very key focus for us as we think about new products, as we think about innovation and renovation. And so we shared with you some of the launches, especially from Paul Greenwood's area for 2014 launches. And like Paul mentioned yesterday, we do have a very robust pipeline for 2015 and beyond, just that for competitive reason, we wouldn't be sharing it with you today or yesterday. And last but not least, you heard that we would be stepping up in terms of leveraging our scale. And so that's not just on a global basis, but specifically in the US, and we talked about that. So those were sort of like the common threads from day one. And so day two today, we will focus on the two biggest markets in Latin America. And so that would be Juan Carlos Marroquin kicking off for Brazil and Martello for Mexico. We will then close our session, at least a formal session here, with Paul Bulke joining us for a Q&A. And then we'll have a lunch break, and it would be a retail trade visit. And I would ask before we break for that Tom Smith, who heads up sales for our US business, to come up later and sort of like give us an overview on the logistics. So with that, I think, Chris, you want to just talk about Latin America?
Maybe just a few words. Again, good morning, everybody. As Wan Ling said, I mean, yesterday we focused on the US, and today we'll take a deeper dive into two countries, Brazil and Mexico, that combined make up about 20% of the turnover in the Americas. And the two countries represent nearly 60% of our sales in Latin America. So if you look at Latin America, 44 countries / territories account for about 60% of the total population in the Americas, but a bit less than 40% of the turnover of Nestlé in the region. And over the last 3 years, our organic growth has been solid, with low double-digit growth year after year, and good profitability. As far as the categories go, while we saw yesterday pet care is the largest business in North America, ambient dairy, shelf-stable dairy, is by far our biggest category in Latin America, primarily driven by milk powders, where we have a presence and leadership really in all markets. The second largest category is chocolate, led by an over 1 billion Swiss franc business in Brazil. Infant nutrition is third. Coffee would be number 4, and there it's led by our Nescafé business in Mexico. Pet care is the 5th largest business now. It's been growing rapidly, as you heard. And combine these, all these 1 billion plus businesses account for about 2/3 of our total business in Latin America. So these five categories, all more than $1 billion, account for 2/3 of our business in Latin America. So you'll see while Latin America, including Brazil and Mexico, have a lot of common traits. Nestlé has a long presence in the region. You'll hear over 90 years in Brazil, over 80 years in Mexico. The Nestlé brand is very strong in Latin America, and our companies are widely recognized as leaders in nutrition, health, and wellness. Each country really faces some unique challenges and opportunities, and again, that's why we're here, and that's what we'll share with you today with a spotlight on Brazil and Mexico.